The Vietnam War began as a result of complex historical, ideological, and geopolitical factors rooted in both regional dynamics and Cold War tensions. First under China's rule and then under French colonial rule, Vietnam struggled for independence from foreign domination. As Vietnamese nationalist ideologies formed, the people decided to rebel against the French forces, breaking open the First Indochina War from 1946 to 1954. After the French's defeat at Dien Bien Phu and the following Geneva Accords in 1954, Vietnam was divided into a communist-led North and an anti-communist South, setting the stage for the Vietnam War as global anti-communist sentiment challenged the leadership in the North. The United States military involvement in the Vietnam War spanned from the 1950s to the mid-1970s, a result of fears over the spread of communism by the North Vietnamese government. The United States was not only concerned with North Vietnam, but also with the USSR and China's influence in the region, and other parts of Southeast Asia like Thailand and Indonesia. In support of the anti-communist South Vietnamese, the United States provided military and economic aid to prevent the communist North from overtaking the South. United States involvement escalated after the Gulf of Tonkin incident, where North Vietnamese forces were accused of attacking American Navy vessels, leading to the enactment of a resolution that allowed the United States to take full military action in the region. Military engagement proved increasingly difficult for American forces once they entered Vietnam, as they had to traverse through unfamiliar and incapacitating levels of foliage and forest. The dense jungle terrain that dominated the Vietnamese landscape provided ideal hideaway cover for Viet Cong guerrilla warfare tactics, allowing them to execute ambushes and retreat quickly into the vegetation. Unfamiliar with this type of environment and burdened by the humid temperatures and heavy equipment, American troops were often disoriented and misguided during combat. As surprise attacks by the Viet Cong became more frequent, United States forces experienced newfound psychological effects, suffering from a constant awareness and fear of the next guerrilla strike. 2. The area often endured extreme monsoons and was home to incessant mosquito populations, exposing soldiers to symptoms of trench foot and to diseases like malaria, further complicating their military efforts in the region. In an attempt to destroy food supplies and limit the Viet Cong's ability to hide in the dense foliage, the United States military began to employ tactics of chemical warfare against North Vietnam, hoping to assist American soldiers in the war effort against the spread of communism. In 1961, President John F. Kennedy authorized Operation Ranch Hand, a military project that sought to defoliate the Vietnamese forests and eliminate enemy food supplies so as to incapacitate their military strategies. The primary agrochemical used was called Agent Orange, a poorly studied and insufficiently validated herbicide containing toxic dioxins. Over 11.4 million gallons of Agent Orange was sprayed over 10% of Vietnam's land during the war, resulting in long-term contamination of soil, water, and food supplies, particularly around military bases like Da Nang and Bien Hoa. The mass deforestation and contamination of natural foliage in agricultural lands caused severe loss of productivity in once fertile areas, specifically the Mekong Delta, impacting the livelihoods of Vietnamese farmers and people needing to feed their families. Spraying Agent Orange has resulted in multi-generational consequences, including cancers, birth defects, and other dioxin-related illnesses like liver damage and cardiovascular disease. The health impacts are more severe due to prolonged exposure across multiple generations, a phenomenon not seen in other parts of the world exposed to similar toxins. Health risks associated with dioxins were not fully understood or acknowledged at the time, and it wasn't until 1990 that researchers discovered strong ties between Agent Orange dioxins and extreme health issues in Vietnamese civilians and United States military veterans. Today, there still remains a lasting legacy of Agent Orange in Vietnam, particularly the southern and central regions, where there are chemical hotspots near military bases and other highly impacted areas. Nearly 63 years later, Agent Orange remains a detrimental factor in the lives of the Vietnamese population, a reason for continued resentment that affects US-Vietnam relations to this day. Next, we will hear testimony from my uncle Dave Weeks, who is an incredible man and served as a Marine in the Vietnam War. As soon as he arrived in Vietnam in 1966, Dave was in direct contact with Agent Orange, and 58 years later, the effects of this chemical weapon still impact him in profound ways.
Hello, my name is Dave Weeks. I was a sergeant in the Marine Corps. I was stationed in Vietnam 1966 and 1967. I did 2 tours. I was stationed in I Corps, about 10 miles north of Da Nang and south of a place called Phu Bai. It was a heavy concentration of Viet Cong and North Vietnamese. During the entire time, they sprayed Agent Orange all around us, within hundreds of yards away, to defoliage the trees, the leaves. They poisoned the streams with the dioxins from Agent Orange, poisoned the fish, the birds, the animals, and the poor Vietnamese people were having babies deformed. And during the time that I was there, we didn't question it. I was in the Marine Corps. We didn't question a whole lot of things, but people were getting sick after returning home, and to this day.
Just 10 miles from where Dave was stationed, Da Nang Air Base served as a key operational point for the United States Air Force during the war, especially for its role as a major hub for Operation Ranch Hand. Housing extensive storage facilities for military supplies, Da Nang supported ground troops and launched aerial missions throughout the Vietnam region, becoming a central location for Agent Orange warehousing. More than 100,000 barrels of Agent Orange were stored at Da Nang, with significant amounts spilled due to mishandling and inadequate disposal. Modern local residents were found to experience elevated levels of dioxin in their bloodstreams, which was a result of exposure to poisoned soil, water, fish, and agricultural products in the region.
I was in direct contact with Agent Orange from the day I got there. We watched the C-123 planes dropping Agent Orange on a weekly basis. They dropped Agent Orange from helicopters. They sprayed. There was no end to it. In fact, they kept it quiet because they believed that it could possibly bring harm to us, and not just the Vietnamese people, the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese, because it's against the Geneva Convention. We did question what was going to happen to us and to the people, and you could tell there was denial. Monsanto and Dow Chemical were manufacturing this. Our government well knew that this could kill human beings. We had no clue in the world that this chemical was so strong until we began to notice that the trees were dying, no more leaves. The Vietnamese crops were dying, and people were dying from this. I have been impacted by Agent Orange. I have MGUS, sickle cell, leukemia, faint. It shows in my blood. I've had 2 heart operations, lung problems, slight breathing problems. We did file to try to get compensation for this. And the first time we turned it in, we were denied for absolutely no apparent reason. I should be getting compensation just for where I was stationed in Vietnam and I Corps, even though I thought I was protecting our country from communism. And now that I'm older and spent the time in Nam, I feel horrible about the Vietnam War, and I feel that we should not have been there. And now we're all suffering. It is truly upsetting.
Attempts to mitigate effects and remediate the Vietnam region include extensive cleanup operations supported by foreign affiliates like the United States Agency for International Development. Their primary goals are to reduce dioxin levels in hotspots and reclaim contaminated lands. But technical challenges like the sheer scale of the contamination has made the recovery process exceedingly arduous. The consistency of these effects in both the Da Nang region and other places evidence the severity of the situation, demanding that reform be made by the Vietnamese government, but more importantly, the United States, who is directly responsible for this tragedy. Unfortunately, remnants of Agent Orange still haunt Vietnam today and will continue until something substantial can be done.